It was a summer night, and I was up late browsing Craigslist for some goalie equipment. I was 16 at the time, jobless, and broke, so I was on the hunt for the cheapest deal possible. I wasn't picky about the condition of the gear, I just needed something affordable. Eventually, I stumbled across an ad that seemed like an absolute steal. The pictures showed a full set, pads, a blocker, a glove, and a stick, all in good condition. The seller was asking only $40, which felt too good to be true. Excited, I texted the seller to inquire about the listing. He replied quickly and started asking me a few questions, including my age. I told him I was 16, and he responded by saying something along the lines of, "That's great. It's nice to see dedication at such a young age." At the time, his comment didn't strike me as odd, but looking back, it definitely raises red flags. When I asked for his address to pick up the gear, he suggested instead that we meet somewhere close to my house. He asked which town I lived in and proposed meeting in a location within walking distance. I felt a little uneasy about this arrangement, but I was desperate to get the equipment. We eventually agreed to meet in the parking lot of the mall, which was just down the block from my house. That evening, I stood alone in the spot we'd agreed on, waiting. A few minutes later, I heard a car horn. Looking around, I spotted a white van parked away from all the other vehicles. Right after, I received a text from the seller, "I'm in the white van." I texted back, asking him to come out with the equipment, but he insisted it would be easier to complete the transaction inside the van. That's when the bad feeling hit me like a ton of bricks. Something wasn't right. I trusted my gut, turned around, and bolted out of there. As I sprinted down the block, I glanced back and saw the white van pulling out of the parking lot. To my horror, it began following me. Now, there was someone in the passenger seat, too. Panicking, I realized I couldn't lead them back to my house. Thinking fast, I darted into a random backyard and hopped over a fence, landing on the opposite side of the block. Hiding behind a bush, I held my breath as the van drove past, its headlights scanning the area. It turned the corner and disappeared from view. After waiting a few moments to be sure the coast was clear, I dashed back home as fast as I could. When I told my parents what happened, they were furious. They lectured me for not getting the van's license plate number or a clear look at the driver and passenger. All they could report to the police was that a suspicious white van had been following me. Unfortunately, the Craigslist ad was already taken down by the time I checked, so I couldn't even show it to them. I thought that would be the end of it, but later that night, I heard the faint hum of an engine outside my window. Peeking out, I saw the same white van idling across the street. The moment I looked out, it sped off down the road and vanished into the night. I don't know if they saw me or if they somehow figured out my address, but I haven't seen the van since. To this day, the thought of that encounter makes me feel paranoid.